So typically here at WCCF Tech, we focus on gaming-centric devices, whether that be mice or headphones, but occasionally we get to suit up and get some work done. And that's exactly what the LG Gram 17 is all about. So if you're here to find out how awesome of a gaming system this can be with the 10th generation Core i7 1065G7 with Iris Plus graphics, then, well, you're going to be underwhelmed. Although, tagging in an external GPU with the included Thunderbolt 3 port might change that story a bit, but that may be something for future content. However, the LG Gram is all about getting work done and letting you work as long as possible without being tethered to a wall, and it excels in every way of doing those things. Now, the idea for LG here is to break the mold of so many 15.6-inch 1080p screen laptops that so many people carry around, preferably because of their size. Well, let's be honest here, 17-inch laptops are absurdly large and not typically portable at all. Well, LG took the 17-inch screen size, made it 16 by 10 rather than 16 by 9, allowing for some footprint shrinkage on the sides, then keeping the bezels and size of the laptop so small that it occupies essentially the same space as most 15.6-inch 1080p laptops, but gives you a full-size keyboard that isn't cramped in a massive 2560 by 1600 desktop resolution to work with. But is it good? Well, let's run around the LG Gram itself. So the LG Gram 17 is made up of a metal alloy that consists of their nanocarbon design with the use of magnesium. Thanks to that, the Gram is able to be very thin, sturdy, and weighing in at under 3 pounds, while still managing to maintain its rigidity so that it doesn't flex under its own size. Now, the left side of the Gram houses the standard barrel charging support, a single USB 3.0 Type A port, an HDMI port, and a Thunderbolt 3 port. Now, the Gram can be charged through the Thunderbolt port, so if you would rather set up a desk space to work with like a Thunderbolt 3 hub, you won't have to worry about lugging around the included charger. And concurrently, if you don't like those type of chargers, you can opt for this route instead. Now, the right side of the laptop features a Kensington lock, 2 USB 3.0 Type A ports, and a combo headphone mic port, and a micro SD card reader. Now, I can't help but feel like there's enough room here for more of a full-sized SD card reader on this thing. Now, LG is in a unique position when it comes to display technology, meaning the fact that they make their own. Now, this means they're able to source exactly what they want for the Gram, as well as have a much tighter quality control rather than buying in bulk from another vendor, like so many other laptop makers have to resort to. Now, because of this, they're one of the few using such a large and vibrant panel on such a thin and light laptop. It's more than typical to be limited to 15.6-inch at 1080p panel in this overall size, but being able to have access to a 17-inch screen rocking a massively increased resolution at 2560 by 1600 again, one caveat is that it's a glossy finish and that could cause issues with reflections while outdoors or in brightly lit areas. To those who would question the use for such a resolution on a mid-sized laptop like this, well, there's the serial workers, meaning they usually only ever have one program open at a time. This high of a resolution makes the Windows Snap feature your best friend. See, to those who are rocking spreadsheets or word processing documents will be finding them able to open up multiples of either and snapping them to either halves or quadrants while still having very generous working space on each one. They're going to find it very hard to ever go back to a cramped 1080p panel to get work done on. Now, what about quality? Well, thanks to Datacolor and their SpiderX Elite, we're able to get a better idea of the panel just outside of sRGB coverage. So the 17-inch panel does have great sRGB coverage of 99% with an Adobe RGB rating of 74%, with a maximum luminance of right around 350 nits. Now, we've got a very vibrant display and fairly accurate screen with some excellent viewing angles for those sharing workflow with those around them. Makes that, well, quite a breeze. Now, the Datacolor SpiderX Elite also lets us give a clearer, non-subjective look at color uniformity as well as luminance uniformity. Now, these are important metrics because often the numbers for marketing are derived from a single point in the center of the screen, but this can give us a better look across the entire panel to judge its quality. Thankfully, in both metrics, the color and luminance uniformity, the LG Gram doesn't exhibit a wild range while staying quite consistent. While the images you see on screen may seem drastic on the charts, they really aren't. The color is a bit exaggerated to show deltas between the regions. Okay, so your eyes are getting quite a treat with the LG Gram. What about your fingers? And the full keyboard is chiclet style with a nice spacing between the keys, and the back lid has 2 levels of adjustability with the addition of being able to turn them off. The switch action of the keys is solid with nice travel distance, and the precision touchpad is excellent. I say that as someone who does not like laptops missing the physical left and right mouse buttons, but the clicks are clear, precise, and I've never missed a beat on it. The audio experience of the LG Gram is not going to win any awards today. The Gram features my least favorite arrangement for speakers on laptops, with them being located on the bottom of the laptop. Now this results in a very inconsistent experience. Honestly, when it comes to audio on this puppy, you're definitely going to be better off relying on headphones or external speakers for a good media consumption experience. The storage for the LG Gram is a very interesting mix. It's nice to see the laptop carrying dual NVMe slots, with being populated with a 512 gigabyte drive in each. Now the configuration means you'll find 2 storage locations in your computer's folder, which might confuse the less enthusiast users, but does allow for some flexibility. Each of the drive performs well enough, with about 3,150 megabytes per second sequential performance, as well as 2,030 megabytes on the right side of performance. I can't help but wonder what performance would have been like had they done a RAID 0 configuration, but that would increase the likelihood of issues. The LG Gram comes packed with an 80 watt-hour battery that sits comfortably under the touchpad and gives the large paneled laptop a pretty impressive lifespan off the charger. Now we use PC Mark X's battery benchmark under the modern office workload, with the laptop screen set to 80% and the keyboard light disabled, and it took around 8.5 hours for the laptop to enter the low power saving mode, with still having around 2 hours left on the battery. I set the screen to 50% time and we saw the power saving mode jump up to over 10 hours, with still about 2 hours left after entering the power saving mode. By comparison, something like the Razer Blade Stealth 13, that's about the same price, with the same 50% screen brightness, came in at just around 6 hours, showing the strength of the battery life of the Gram with its large 17-inch panel compared to something like the 13-inch that was on the Stealth. Now the decision for LG going with the 15 watt variant of the Ice Lake powered Core i7-1065G7 is fairly obvious: efficiency and battery life. Now while there are many out there who would undoubtedly scream for Ryzen 4000 series options in this laptop, well, they didn't exist when this model shipped. Now maybe one day we'll see options with higher core count variants from the Red team, but for now it's Ice Lake only. The 15 watt option is clearly targeted 100% at optimizing battery life while still getting as much oomph as they could from the i7-1065G7. Thankfully, the integrated graphics of Ice Lake's Gen 11 GPU are really beneficial for driving a much higher resolution screen than this. But I'm a bit underwhelmed with the cooler they attached to it, since it's quiet and unobtrusive during even the heaviest of workloads, but it does limit their performance and can reach temperatures of around 90 C under all-core CPU workloads, now resulting in the CPU staying at around 1.6 GHz. During normal operations such as browsing, spreadsheets, words, including combinations of all of these, including watching videos, you're going to see good strong clock speeds from across the board of all CPU cores. So it does pretty good in that regards. Now the CPU is only one part of the equation of the performance, the other is the memory. See, the LG Gram gets the Ice Lake rated DDR4 3200 and arranges its memory with an 8 GB capacity soldered to the board, and another 8 GB coming in a single SODIMM. So if you decided to expand, you'll be limited to an 8+ arrangement. If I had to make one request for the design here, it was to increase the size of the cooler, as well as making both memory modules done. See, there's plenty of room to double the size of that cooler and add in maybe a second fan that would simply just not activate unless the laptop was on wall power. This could allow for longer sustained turbo clocks and reduced noise and thermals. Now what about gaming? Well, simply put, you don't buy the LG Gram for gaming. If you're in the market for portability, battery life, and gaming, something like the Razer Blade Stealth 13 would be indeed a better option. But if you're wanting to play some older games at 1280 by 800 and use the integer scaling to stretch it out cleanly, then, well, there's certainly an option for that. I played hours of Elite Dangerous on here using that resolution and modest settings and found it perfectly playable. Now, if you're thinking of something like the recently released Halo Master Chief Collection games, well, you'll definitely be playing on the classic graphics, as it tanks when turning over to the modern settings. So basically, LG delivered on the Gram. It has a simple design, a gorgeous screen, and a monstrous battery. And the overall experience is simply wonderful. But is this laptop going to be for you around the $1,800 mark? Well, it's not as tough a question to answer as some may think. See, if you're a gamer who wants that massive 17-inch screen and simply glows with excellence, you're out of luck here. This is definitely not a gamer's paradise by a long shot. Or if you're a heavy video editor, I would wager to look somewhere else. However, the LG Gram is all business, has a little play on the side, and it's definitely worthy of winning the Editor's Choice Awards because this is going to get the work done, especially if you're a lightly threaded application user, you're a power user for business, you're doing some coding. Basically, unless you're video editing or gaming, those are really the only two things that I would count this one out on.